I got an offer that pays a lot more, so I accepted it. What do I tell my current employer about my reason for leaving? Hey Shay. Auntie. I am a regular listener, and you have previously helped me with relationship advice. This time I am needing advice with my job. When giving a 2-week notice to go to another job that is paying way more, what should I say? Should I tell them due to inflation and y'all not paying enough, I gotta go? I am in the 28 to 34 age group living in Atlanta. This is my second big girl job that I am leaving, and with it being smaller than my previous job I quit. I just know my manager will ask why. I really do want to leave on good terms, as this company has done right by me. What is the best, most professional response to that question?
It's interesting to see people who are that responsible with their employers and don't want to burn bridges. I always exploded mine with no notice, just get up and say, oh, well, today is my last day, I'm out. That's how I always did things, because I always felt like they would have another body in my chair before I even hit the door. So I never worried too much about giving notice and what they thought about why I wanted to leave. But since you seem to be a much more responsible individual than I was at your age, let's go over what happens when you leave a job. Okay, so you want to leave in a way that does not burn a bridge. You can probably still use them for reference. They'll be happy to give you a glowing recommendation, these kinds of things. I understand that. So what you want to do, the standard protocol for leaving a job is to provide them with a minimum of 2 weeks written notice. So in your letter of resignation, you would say, on such and such a date. Well, okay, you include the date that will be your last day, which should be at least 2 weeks out. Sometimes people give as much as a month notice. And in your letter, you want to thank your manager and thank the people who you've had contact with, perhaps mentorship, um, people who have helped you specifically to develop yourself, that's provided you with training and guidance and that kind of thing. You want to put all that in the letter, because this letter will go from your direct supervisor up the management chain. You want to leave a good impression. That seems to be important to you. So you put in there, I really appreciate all the time and energy and effort that everyone here has spent into developing me to be a better employee. I've learned a lot during my tenure here. I'm going to take these lessons in organizational management and uh, I don't know, whatever it is that you learned. You mention those points and thank them very much for the experience that you've had there, and then you sign your name. Okay, so that contains all the important elements of thanking people appropriately, showing graciousness, showing respect, and providing them with a timeline for when your last day in the office will be. Your managers will then direct you, what kind of things they want, perhaps an exit document that shows where you are in all of your projects at the current point, passwords and things like that, contact information for the projects that you're working on, that kind of thing. They'll want an exit document. Now, some companies also do what's called a formal exit interview that will take place with HR and your manager, or maybe just HR, it depends. In that, they'll sit down with you and they'll ask you point blank, right, face to face. Well, what happened? Why did you? What was your experience here? Did you have any particular conflicts? How can we improve our recruitment process? How can we improve our workflow, our management, our benefits and things? They'll ask your opinion, and they really do want to know. So then you can share that. But what I would caution you to do is to stop short of pointing fingers and saying, well, this manager said this to me and they did this and that, and I didn't like that, and they didn't treat me right, and all this kind of stuff. You want to avoid all of that drama, because you want, especially someone at your age, you're so young and just starting really in your career, you don't want to burn any bridges. I never cared about that, but because I always worked freelance, so I never really cared about that too much. But it seems important to you, so I'm going to respond in a way that respects what your request is. So you want to avoid that. You say, well, I'm just really getting started in my career, and I'm looking for growth. And this company offered an avenue for me to go in the direction that I'm interested in going. They have, these wonderful benefits. Say they have an educational reimbursement plan, they have an in-house management training program, they have whatever they have. You mention that, and you say, to me, this is invaluable to try to really develop myself in the way that I want to develop myself as a recent college graduate. Just in my beginning part of my work career. And so you do it like that. I mean, you don't point fingers of blame at anybody. And if you can thank someone directly, you do that. But as far as blaming, finger pointing, pitching around, being angry and all that stuff, you leave all that out. You don't want any record of that. Short of, if that's the kind of thing that forms the basis of some kind of harassment, workplace bullying or harassment or racial discrimination lawsuit, sexual discrimination, something like that, well, then, yeah, then you can mention it. But even then, you should have seen an attorney before you left. That shouldn't be something they just hearing about in the exit interview. You hear me? So that's how I would recommend that you leave a position. You want to leave with your head held high, and you don't want them to ever be able to turn around and say, yeah, she was so raggedy. She did this and said that, and she blamed so and so. And we really think the conflict was about her anyway. It wasn't them. This kind of thing. You want to avoid all of that. You stick to the facts. This was a great experience for me. I learned this, and that here. And the going over to this position is going to present me with these opportunities and options that are not available here. And those particular options and opportunities are blah, 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 blah. Okay, so they can't really say too much about that. Now, this is where things could take a turn. So you give your resignation letter, right? And they're all horrified, shocked, and dismayed, and they run around like, "Oh my God, we can't have her leave. What can we do? What can we do?" So they come back to you and they say, "We got your resignation letter, and we really want to keep you. What is this company offering you? Would you be amenable to staying here if we matched it?" Now, that's something you better think about, because a lot of companies will do that, especially if they invested a lot of time and effort into training you for the position that you now hold, or trying to position you to take on a new responsibility or in a new department or a new role. You need to really give that some thought if that's something that you want to do. If the answer is yes, and they say, would you tell them what the company offered you, or you show them your offer letter, and they may match it. Do you want to stay? If that happened, would you be amenable to staying there? Give that some thought. If the answer is yes, then you stay. If the answer is no, no matter what they offer you or what kind of magic tricks they pull out of their hat, you're going to go anyway. So you say, well, you think of what benefits this company is going to offer you: shorter hours, shorter commute, something that they can't compete with. And then that's what you throw down as the gauntlets, to squash their offer. You don't want to be like, no, I'm not staying here under no circumstance. I don't care what you say. You want it to be a solid reason. So give all of that some thought. This is like a political dance that you have to do as a young person just starting in your career, who's really desirous of not burning bridges and leaving an avenue open. Because sometimes what happens is people goes full circle. You leave, you develop yourself, you go other places, right? You become a better person, a higher paid person, a better manager, whatever. You get another degree, things happen, and then you end up right back at the same company. That has happened to hundreds of people. So give that some thought. How you can accomplish that, if that's something that you think might happen, and make your decision accordingly. I appreciate you taking the time to write, and I hope this works out for you. Give the subscription button a hit before you take off. Everybody, thank you. Bye-bye.